well, I want someone that cares about me. And I was like, I think you just want really good intimacy, which I'm great at. I'm great at it. Don't get me wrong. I will toot my own horn all day. I'm really good at sex. I love sex. If that's what it is, fine. But don't sugarcoat it, sugar daddies.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily?
The sweater weather.
The sweater weather?
Yeah, I finally can wear a little light jacket today in Arizona.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about the shocking stories of sugar dating.
Well, it's shocking how long it took us to get to sweater weather this year.
That is true. You look fantastic. So you had your before and after photos, didn't you?
I did.
How did that go?
Well,
Lily got a little nip and tuck.
It's a little awkward because you have to just be full on naked every time you go in there for a photo shoot. Mm-hmm. All the things are just right there. But my doctor's very professional, and there's always an assistant in the room. But it took a while because they want the front view, they want the corner view, they want the side view, they want the 3/4 view. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yes, it was good to see the before and afters because it makes me feel like it was worth all the pain and suffering I went through.
I remember the first few weeks.
Oh, I mean, God.
I'm talking to you on the phone and you go, they did not properly prepare me for this.
I had no idea what the recovery was going to entail. If they would have told
me it was this painful, I don't know if I'd have done it.
I would not have.
Yeah.
That was the worst surgery I've ever done. And I've had all the things done. I've had a hysterectomy. I've had my tubes, not tied, burned. What do they call that? Cauterized or whatever. Mm-hmm. I've had so many things. I had the breast augmentation before. Mm-hmm. I had my blepharoplasty.
I don't know what that is.
Eyelids done. So I'd done a lot of things, and I'm the girl who just bounces right back from surgery. There was no bouncing back from the grandmommy makeover.
Well, let me tell you guys, our guest last week, Justin, he came into town. He's from Oregon, and he saw Lily in person for the first time, and his jaw dropped. Absolutely.
Or so he said.
No,
I think he was just flattering me.
Yeah, he was very pleasantly surprised on how great Lily looks in person, and I agree. Now, was it worth it?
It was very much worth it.
Yeah. Now, Lily is one of these people who has had little things done, but she doesn't look like it. You see these girls with their lips, they're overdone, and you're just like, oh dear. Or their cheeks, their cheek fillers.
Too much filler,
You're just like, wait a minute, you don't even look like a real person anymore. But Lily is, I don't know, maybe if you guys want advice, that would be one of our Patreon benefits, is to go there, ask Lily advice about her little nips and tucks, because she's done it right, absolutely done it right to battle Mother Nature, Father Age, whatever you call it.
Yes. Right? I always say I will not go gently into that good night. I will fight the aging process for all that I'm worth. But it's funny because I do want to have a natural look. I don't want to look unnatural.
No, you look great.
And it was so funny because the other day Trucker thanked me for not wearing the really long feather-like eyelashes.
Oh, right.
He was like, thank God somebody got on the plane when we were coming.
I've seen
home
that
from
so
Cabo.
much.
And he's like, thank you for not doing that.
They do those for other girls. They certainly don't do them to impress other men, because men don't give a flying fuck about eyelashes that stick out 4 feet from your face. But speaking of, we have a guest. I want to get to her real quick, but speaking of Patreon, go there, join our family. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. We have some tiers that open up the entire site. The bottom tier, which is only $10 a month, opens up the entire site. You get to chat with other people in the community chat. There's so many benefits, behind the scenes photos and videos. We are going to announce all the details for Sugarpalooza 6, which is Shakira. We were supposed to have her in November, but she postponed until June of next year. So I guess the party's going to be like June 20, 21st, 22nd, something like that, or that weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a little warm in Phoenix, but hey, people did not die last year.
No.
They actually enjoyed the weather, enjoyed the heat.
Stayed in the pool or in the
Yeah,
air-conditioned oasis.
Yeah. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. I'll have a link to it at the bottom of this episode and also on our website. Okay. I'm always excited about every guest, but this one's going to be interesting. So, as you guys know, Alejandra and we're in an open relationship, and I still like meeting people. Like Justin said last week, he'd been stood up a couple times in a row. I've been stood up like 3 times lately, and it's just unbelievable. But this girl did not stand me up. I didn't know if it was actually going to happen, but I met her, and then I met her again, and here she is in the studio because I think she has some experience and her stories are pretty entertaining, and we're just going to bring her in. Dakota, how are you?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you've done a little bit of podcasting before.
Yes, I have.
So you're very comfortable there.
I am. I feel
Yeah.
comfortable. I mean, this whole atmosphere, though, is very comforting.
Yeah.
And welcoming. So, I mean, there's no pressure. I mean, it's like, hey, we're hanging out with some friends. We're going to discuss a couple good times and bad times, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, we've had some fun discussions over bruschetta and a couple drinks. So I'm excited for you guys to hear her. Now, you're in your 30s. How long have you been sugar dating?
Sadly, since I was about 14, 15, I didn't even know it was
Way.
happening. I had no idea it was happening. That's the thing. After like recapping and realizing how easy you adapt like those situations, but you don't realize at that time that that's what's happening.
No, wait. Yeah,
You're going to have to explain
yeah,
this.
We can't brush past this.
Okay. Ultimately, so I worked at a lumber yard, and so these men would offer me gifts, and I'm not saying like I was doing anything for it at the time, but in a way, right? Because you weren't realizing that those situations were being approached, and then you kind of start later on recognizing that those interactions were because there was an option to have a relationship with them later, which I'm not saying that they were older men. Like they could have been like, I mean, I feel any relationships like that, right? The whole point is for women usually to offer some kind of incentive, right? To go out with them, to date. So I just kind of was like, there was a guy that owned an installation company.
Okay, yeah.
And he paid me a lot of extra money to do like not much at all, actually. And then eventually it kind of turned into his like DD, and then the DD turned into driving, and we were drinking all together, but it did start off like, I'm sure he paid most of his employees only like a certain amount of money, and I was getting paid a lot more. So
Can you imagine her working in a lumber yard?
I can. I worked at Ace Hardware when I was in high school. So yeah, I
did you?
can totally relate.
yeah, I mean, it was better than fast food, right?
Yeah.
So I was excited at the opportunity, and then it does actually, I mean, you do make a lot of good connections.
And you should have seen me in that little red vest.
Ooh.
No, I didn't have big breasts back
Damn,
then.
I was picturing it. Here, just let me have my moment, Lily.
Yeah. Yeah, she is so tiny, by the way. She's just a little thing. Beautiful, super classy.
Oh, Lily?
Very
Thank
classy.
you.
Yeah, I knew as soon as she walked up, I was like, oh, yes.
Now,
Like, she
I-
just carries herself so well.
I had showed you photos of her.
You did.
Yeah, but it doesn't do her justice,
No, it
does
doesn't, because her soul is good. I'm a good
Aw.
person. Like, I can read energy, and her soul is a good soul.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because even though Lily was in a town like 3 hours away from me when I first talked to her, and we did a FaceTime or Skype or whatever, when she showed up on my door, I had the same feeling. I was like, oh, I like this girl.
Yeah, that makes
This
sense.
girl.
In my sparkly glitter pink car.
Oh, and I literally
see
walked right past her and I went, what is this atrocious thing you'd parked in front of my house?
It was so cute.
It was what kind of car was it?
An Infiniti.
Infinity, and it had a sparkle pink wrap on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It was quite the sight.
Maybe that was my midlife crisis car. I don't know.
You just had to,
That
it was
her
like
little,
a fad.
That was our Barbie car.
I don't mind standing out in a crowd.
No, you don't.
That garnered me a lot of attention, the Barbie
Yes.
car.
Yes, it did.
But you don't do it. I've noticed, like, I mean, I feel you're more of a attention, but not like aggressive, you know,
No.
and in a very almost lead by example. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
is how I, conduct
And
myself.
just, I like to be able to just show my fun side and just be silly.
Yeah, and here's one thing that stands out from that weekend. Well, there's so many things that stand out from that weekend. The fact that she went to Costco with me, the fact that she went and ate Popeye's chicken with me. I'm like, oh, she's not pretentious. We went and had dinner, and then we went to Whiskey Row, and there was this girl with her parents, and she had like a sash on or something, and it was her 21st birthday. And she's just looking a little bored over there. Kind of the party hadn't started yet.
Yeah,
and Lily
her friends weren't there yet.
She said, Marcus, you're buying that girl a drink. I'm going to go find out what she's drinking, and you're buying her a drink.
Yeah, and she was so appreciative. She's like, oh, thank you. My friends aren't here yet. And I'm 21 and there's nobody to party with yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was cute.
That was kind of a defining moment for me with Lily, because I was like, this girl is very thoughtful and she likes to have fun and
Very secure.
yeah. So that
In
was
that sense, a lot.
That was something I'll always remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about her.
No, well, I think
Yeah, let's talk about Dakota.
Thank you. Yes, I feel that when you're a very secure female, it's a lot easier to want other people to feel secure and other people to enjoy those moments with you, right? I mean, that's how I am. I
Absolutely.
want everybody to win. I want us all to be on the same page. And quite honestly, if you don't want that, no offense, I don't want anything to do with it then.
Yeah.
I'm all about good times, good vibes. Let's bring good energy at all times to the table.
Now, Dakota, are you from Arizona?
I am not.
Tell us where you're from.
I am from up in Montana.
She's from where podcast Fanboy is from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's beautiful and I've seen photos, but I've never visited.
It's stunning, except it's going to be the frigid temperatures are already starting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's why I had to get out of there, because it was just horrendous. It was 9 months of solid depression. So I don't suggest it during the winter times unless you're okay with being indoors majority of the time, which I mean, if you like to go skiing and snowboarding and snowmobiling, which I loved, but not for 9 to 10 months.
Now, you've lived in Arizona like 5 years, haven't you?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it and I hate it at the same time, because I feel like I've had a really hard time finding a group of people that I've enjoyed being around and like making friends, because it is a dog eat dog world right now. Like the industry or what, while we're, or the group of people that we're surrounding ourselves with, which when you told me when you brought the other girls to these sugar paloozas, it makes me happy that they can respect each other. But here I feel even just going out and meeting people, it's constant competition. And I just don't want to do that. Yeah.
I've heard that before from the girls, and, especially in Old Town Scottsdale, it's just kind of a snobby,
Like
who's better than who
Scottsdale
type
blonde
atmosphere.
mentality.
Yeah, and I hate to say that, but it is. It really is. And then I don't fit the Scottsdale image, obviously.
Well, you don't live in Scottsdale.
I know I don't for a reason. And I catch so much slack for that. But I am not tall. I'm not blonde. But I embrace it. Like, I had a really hard time with it at first. But I've noticed too that there's a lot of men that fly me out to the East Coast or fly me to California. And I was told by a friend, because I was off the site for quite a while, because I had a gentleman that took my pictures, started threatening me. I'm very, very selective with my conversations, and I do not share face pics just because it's so easy to take your information.
Well, and that was one of the reasons we almost didn't meet.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, hey, either you're fake or you're going to share some damn photos with me.
Right. And you actually were very understanding once I explained that to you.
Yeah.
And then when you met, you're like, okay, the nose ring. I get it.
Well, well, that's the thing. You sent me a picture and I was like, is this really her? And then when we met, I had to compare the noses to make sure that was really your pictures. It was.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
We can confirm Dakota is real.
Yeah, she's real.
Okay, so I need to know more about the guy that took your picture. What was he doing with it?
He took all of our screenshots, which they weren't inappropriate conversations, but I also feel when you're starting to get to know someone on that site, it's really hard to tell if anyone's real. And then I feel a lot of guys have been like, oh yeah, you can go sleep with this girl. So say some guy gets a big paycheck that weekend, right? And he's like, hey, you want to hang out? I'm a sugar daddy. I'm experienced, whatever. And then they sleep with you for $500. They offer you PPM. And I'm sorry, but PPM is like a huge red flag to me a lot of the time, especially if they mention certain sexual desires and certain sexual interactions that they're going to require from you, right? Because then it instantly, I'm like that feels like prostitution. And I'm sure there are females that are okay with that, but that's not how I am. Like you and I, we've connected really well. You respect each other. It doesn't need to be aggressive. And this gentleman just did not want to accept no for an answer. And I don't like to be ugly. I don't like to throw shade at each other. I really just want to keep the conversation very cordial, right? There's no need to be ugly. And he was just like, I'm going to post all this information. And it was a lot. And then he wouldn't stop. And then he created another profile and reached out to me that way. And
Okay, wait.
You're like,
Yeah.
is this
I feel like
the
this might be-
stalker that we know?
My stalker.
I know. We've had a few instances like that.
that's what you were saying. You said that there was one that you guys kind of
Was this guy really tall?
I don't know.
Oh, you never met him?
No, this was all over the internet because I wouldn't meet him. And no offense, but like, we're in Phoenix. We're with like 3.5 million people. Anyone can say they're anyone on the internet at this point. And if you're giving me really bad ick vibes, that's my new thing, ick vibes, I got spidey senses. And I was like, I am not going to meet you anywhere. And this is just to protect me because, I mean, I'm kind of a badass. Like, don't get me wrong, I could hold my own, but a grown man is much larger than me. So no matter what kind of fight I put up, I mean, you do run a risk of that happening. And I just don't ever want to put myself in a situation where that could ruin everything for me, right? I want to believe that people still have good intentions. But this site, I mean, specifically, I love it because of, especially of this interaction, but man, there's a lot that you kind of have to weed through at times because I think so many people have been informed of the relationships that can happen on the site. So that's the only thing that sucks is there's really good relationships to be built on that website, but
well, your profile is interesting because you just put a bunch of pictures of your nose down, basically.
and my
Just
boobies.
your mouth. Oh, did I see those?
She has epic breasts, by the way. What size are you?
I am a 38D.
Those are at least doubles.
Oh, they might be.
I think they're triples.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
I'm having lunch or I'm having dinner or drinks or whatever the other night with her. And she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to get bigger. I'm like, no.
They're
You're fine.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't need bigger. She doesn't need bigger, does she?
Yeah, who was the guy that called me the busty brunette? I've now been demoted, and Dakota is the official busty brunette.
Thank
Who
you.
was that? They had you in
Somebody had me in their phone.
contacts as the busty brunette.
Jack? Was it?
I can't remember.
I think it was Jack. Had me listed in his phone as the busty brunette. Yeah. Like, okay. I'm more of a dirty blonde than a brunette.
All right. So what kind of message did you get with guys? Because they want to see lots of photos. And now that you've had this experience, you are hesitant to send those because you even said to me, you can't save or download these. And I'm like, sure, but I really could.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
I would
you can't
never know.
stop me.
No, exactly. So I feel like, again, if you are familiar with a good relationship, which my last relationship was like 6 years. It wasn't, oh my gosh, this is an amount that I expect every month. If I needed something, I'd be like, hey, I'm having a tough time. Can you send this? And he would send it. And then I wouldn't expect anything from it for months, right? Because it was just it was a genuine relationship, but we didn't talk about, certain things that we expected. It was just, hey, let's just be best friends kind of.
Now, is this somebody that you met on the site?
No, I was going to go work for him. And he was like, and this is what I'm telling you, this is how these situations have happened. And I was like, hey, I heard you're hiring. And he's like, but do you want to work for me? Wink, wink, but not work for me. And I was like, okay.
You want to be the sexy secretary?
Yeah, but I didn't even have to be in the office ever. I was totally remote. And so because I have had such good relationships, it's hard for me to engage. Even if they say hotel, I'm just like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, you want to come to my hotel this weekend?
No, guys miss the mark so many times.
Yeah.
That was a jackrabbit. Do you remember the jackrabbit?
Oh, yeah.
He always wanted to meet in a hotel.
Yeah.
And he was so weird. I would have to pay for the hotel, and then he would reimburse me in cash. Like he
wanted untraceable.
He could have no record, no financial record of his liaisons.
He was probably a politician.
And then he could not understand why I was like, I can't keep doing this. It's very weird. And he got called the jackrabbit because we would have some drinks, some conversation, and then he would just want to bang, and then he would just want to jackrabbit out of there. I was like, oh, hippity hop, there he goes.
I didn't even have to make an excuse. So, I mean, that worked out perfectly
and
for
he
you,
was
I'm
like,
sure.
Enjoy the hotel room if you want to. You can stay. It's paid for. And he always reimbursed me, but it was just kind of awkward.
And I think it's great, though, when you establish that that's what it is. It's a business transaction to me, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no emotions. You cannot go into it with emotions.
No.
And I think that's the difference too, is when you are experienced, I guess, with these situations and these relationships. Honestly, I prefer them now because I don't have to worry about some guy talking to some other girl. You go into it, you have a good time while you have those interactions, and then you part ways and you're like, hey, that was great. See you later. Never have to stress about it. I mean, you're obviously all like booed up now. You did find someone that you're having a great time with. And I love that for you, because this is something that can happen. But for someone that has been doing it for a while, you just have to have that mentality. And a lot of these younger girls, I feel, get very attached. But if you think about it, it's because the last interaction or like the last influence they had were their family, right? Their parents and stuff. So the next person that comes out, they're just going to cling on to them, right? And they're going to want them to kind of lead them in the right direction, which is great. But these girls have to understand that this, and I think men too on this side, and it's like a lot of them want to date. And I was like, that's not really what it's about though. I mean, it is, but there's other rules that, you know.
We talk about that. There's so many men who are looking for love, but they try to force it very quickly. But you got to treat it as a dating site, and you just got to have fun date and let it work into that. The moment you start forcing it, then it just starts pushing the other person away.
Right, exactly. And then, you know, just making sure that I feel with these relationships, you have to communicate effectively regardless. And you have to be willing to, you know, hear some things that you probably don't want to hear on both ends. And I'm not easily offended. So I'm just like, all right, cool. Sure. Let's try it. Whatever. I'll try everything once, I think. But I do love the site, and I think it's been great, and I have had great experiences. And this, I think what you guys are doing is so amazing. I was sitting over here like a kid in a candy store, just like looking at all the treats, like enjoying all like your interactions. Cause I just think that this is amazing how educational this is for everybody that judges others. And it's like every relationship kind of turns out that way. Men they spoil us, right? So this way it's just easier for everyone involved when you can communicate.
Well, the whole reason we started, or I started it, and now Lily's involved, is because it is a wild world out there, and there's such great people to meet and good connections to have, but it is wild.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Lily would tell me about some of her interactions. She would show me messages from guys.
Yeah. I want to hear one of your favorites, like one of your most memorable. And I'll tell you one of mine, maybe.
Most memorable what?
Experience, like that you have, like maybe one that is just one that you'll never forget because it is.
Oh, I think my most memorable one is the murder mansion.
The murder mansion.
I don't know what episode that was, but that was a crazy thing that I did. But probably because of FOMO. And it was not somebody I met on Seeking. It was somebody I met at Costco.
Costco, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I met a random dude at Costco.
Everywhere's an opportunity.
I guess I'm very approachable because people just walk up to me and start conversations with me wherever I go. And this is men and women. But this man struck up a conversation with me and wanted to toot his own horn about how rich he was and how he was a philanthropist and all the famous people he knew. And
this was down in Tucson, right?
He was remodeling his mom's mansion that he had bought for her because she had passed away suddenly. And did I want to come see it? And I was like, I don't know, probably not. I'm on my way to, and this is before I started sugar dating. I was on my way to, I think it was a Facebook dating. This was going to be my first meet and greet with this psychologist guy from Tucson. And I was on my way to do a meet and greet with him. I'm on my way to a coffee for a blind date. And he's like, cancel it. I'll take you somewhere. And you can have coffee with me. I'm like, I'm not going to cancel it. That's really rude. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, okay, well, after your coffee, then I'm going to give you my address and you come see my mom's mansion that I'm remodeling. And I'm like, maybe. So I go on my meet and greet and it was fine. It actually turned into lunch because we had a lot to talk about. That guy turned out to be a loser though. He was such a narcissist, but that's another story.
Oh, that's my sexology experience we got to work through.
Yeah. So then I'm like, you know what, FOMO, I got to go see this guy's mansion because he had sent me a picture of it. And from the outside, it was beautiful. I'm like, I think I'm going to go take that tour.
It didn't look so murdery on the outside.
No.
Oh, just wait.
No. But on the inside, oh dear God. Well, the first thing, I mean, I don't know if we want to recap the whole thing, but the first weird thing that he did was approach my car. Now, he lived up a really tall, steep, scary driveway, but I was smart enough to turn around to where I could make an easy getaway if I needed to.
Exactly.
Because I wouldn't want to back down that thing. So I turned around so I could have a shot at just getting out of there quickly if I needed to. So he approaches my car and he says, do you want silver valve stem covers or black valve stem covers? I'm like, what? For your tires. Do you want silver valve stem covers or black? I'm all, I guess black. And he's like, okay. And the first thing he did was change all my valve stem covers on my car.
Now, for you guys,
I don't know
these
why.
are the little caps that go on where you air your tires up, the little stem that comes out, their little caps.
Was this with a pink car still? What color car did
I think I had my blue car by then.
It wasn't your pink car?
No, maybe it was my pink. I don't know what I was driving. I think I had my... No, I wouldn't have had my blue car by then. It must have been my little pink car.
Okay.
Well, anyways,
I'm trying to get a visual.
I got all new valve stem covers, and that was weird. So then he takes me on the tour. This house looks like an episode of Hoarders. There's just like shit everywhere. And he chalks it up to, well, he's packing up his mom's stuff and moving his mom's stuff out. There's so many things. I don't know what episode that was. I'm not going to recap the whole thing, but there was the long-haired Siamese cats. There was
like 6 of them.
There was the weirdest, most disturbing things, and this is where the hair on the back of my neck starts standing up a little bit, is he had this makeshift cardboard door that was blocking like a hallway. So he had just put pieces of cardboard together with duct tape and blocked off this hallway. And I was like, what's happening there? Are you painting? He's like, oh no, that's where I keep my African cats. I'm like, what? He's like, do you want to see the African cats? I'm like, oh God, I'm going to go behind the cardboard door and there's just going to be like plastic everywhere. And he's going to chop me up into bloody pieces.
But you went and looked at the cats, huh?
He really had a room for his cats. He had to keep them separate from the Persian cats that were his mom's because he was afraid that the wild cats would attack the Persian cats, and it was a whole thing. It was crazy. I should have never gone in there.
Yeah,
But we do.
But hold on. You left out one of the most important details. The blue slushy.
Wait, what?
Oh,
There's a blue
God.
slushy machine?
Yeah, so
No.
I get ready to leave. There's so many things I'm leaving out. Figure out the episode while I'm telling this so that we
we'll
can
figure it out.
tell people,
Recap.
because there's a lot more freaky things that I'm totally leaving out. But I get ready to leave and he's like, let me fill up your water bottle. And I'm like, I think I have plenty. I had like probably one of these Arctic cups or something. I think I have plenty for there. I was like, no, let me fill it up. And he goes in the kitchen, which is just full of empty styrofoam Slurpee cups. The whole sink, the whole counter. Like he must have had probably 30 empty
Like used?
yeah, slushy cups. And not only that, he hadn't rinsed them out because he fills one of them up with water and pours it in my cup. And as he's pulling it back, I look in it and it's got dried up blue slushy all over the inside, like the bottom of it. And I'm like, oh God, he just ruined my drink.
Was there cat hair in there too?
Possibly.
What did it smell so bad?
Yeah, it wasn't the smell so much as just like the clutter everywhere, the garbage everywhere, the unwashed dishes everywhere. It was insane.
So this is sweet little Lily going to some stranger's house that she met at Costco.
I know. But I'm the same way.
the
Like,
murder mansion.
I can go anywhere and everyone approaches me. And I love that. But also I feel like in the sugar dating, you're just like, as soon as they start talking about money, which it could be anyone, you're like, oh, okay, I know where this is going. When are we going on a date? And I'm just like, with you, I'm like, let's do this then. Like, put your money where your mouth is, like literally, right? Hey, let's go to dinner. Hey, this is my expectations. Hey, what are your expectations? And then sometimes you can do a little naughty talk, right? To see where this is going to go. If it's going to go dark, if it's going to go like cuddles or, or stay kind of vanilla. And then you kind of decide, but I've been approached out in public too. Majority of my relationships have been that way. It's just, they kind of up and talk to me and they're like, oh yes, I have this yacht or I have this house in Miami. So it's always interesting.
Actually, that happened to me one time when I was in college. I was visiting a friend whose friends had race cars, and he took me along to this racetrack event type of thing. And he was down in the pits helping his buddy with his car. And so I was sitting up in the stands, and I had this guy approach me and strike up a conversation with me and tell me that he wanted to put me on his private plane and fly me off somewhere to do a fun vacation. And I was like, I'm with somebody here. Like, I'm actually on a day. He's like, I don't care. And he really hardcore tried to talk me into
And you
leaving
didn't
with
have
him.
FOMO?
I do now.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, that would not be a good idea. That would be really crazy. But, you know, the older I get, the more FOMO, because
Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity.
how many more opportunities are going to rear their ugly heads?
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
All right, so
sure.
Dakota, we heard Lily's.
Okay. I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Let me think.
You have a few. You told me you have a few.
Yeah. Now I'm like drawing a blank. How was
What's
that?
your favorite one that she told you, Marcus?
Well, she didn't tell me. I mean, she told me about an incident that happened to her just recently where she shows up and the guy expected her to have a threesome without telling her.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah, so she's like,
How did that transpire?
I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, so I actually feel kind of bad for the guy because I feel he's not all there. Like, I think maybe at some point in time he might have had like a head.
Injury?
Yeah, because he's really sweet, very intelligent, but we had several conversations in the same, like in an hour, because I think that's the longest I stayed. I was like, this is just really uncomfortable. But he sees dancers. So his like dancer that's not his girlfriend, but is his main girl was there and like almost mediating the conversation and not wanting us, you know, and I was just like, this is so weird. I'm just sitting here talking and she's right here. And it's like, do I engage with you? Do I ask for permission? It was so awkward, but he did offer compensation to just show up. So I was like, all right, whatever, it's worth that. And then he was like, well, you know, we can, because sometimes there's some drugs or, you know, that they offer too. And they're like, hey, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, hey, do you want to do some cocaine? And I was like, I'm good for right now, but thank you. You know, I appreciate it. He's like, well, if we had some,
Looks
would you want to
great,
do
but
some?
I think I'll pass.
Yeah. And then he was like, well, you know, we've been wanting to have a threesome. And she's like, I never agreed to any of this. And I was like, this is so awkward, right? So I'm like, what's happening? And then he started talking politics and he wanted to talk religion and then he would go back to the threesome. And then this girl was just not about it. And I was just so confused by the situation. She's like, oh, I knew you were coming. And I was like, I didn't know you were going to be here. I literally show up and I hear a female talking and I'm like messaging him. I was like, hey, are you good? Like, is there someone here? She's like, oh yeah, she's just here hanging out. And I was like, all right, wait, what? Should I come back? I'm not rude. So I was like, I'll just come back and do my time. And then he was like, well, no, I figured it'd be easier if she was here. And I was like, this is not easier. I was like, going forward, I wouldn't do that.
He's like, can I just circle back to the threesome?
Exactly. Every time. And she was just like, no, I never said I wanted
Okay,
that.
how old was this guy?
Let me look.
Well, I've showed up on like a meet and greet and her sister was with her, but they weren't wanting a threesome. She just felt comfortable having her sister there.
Marcus was wanting a threesome
So
with
I'm
his
like,
sisters.
Hey, where's this going to go?
Were they stepsisters?
What is your fantasy? Twins?
Mine?
Yeah.
You know, I've done the threesome thing a few times and it's really not even a fantasy anymore. I don't know. I've kind of
Okay,
been
but
there.
if they were sisters, would you find that repulsive or sexy?
I would prefer them not to be sisters because I would like them to enjoy each other. And if sisters were, you know, that would be a little odd.
It would.
Yeah, the whole incest factor.
Yeah.
He claims he's 46, but I don't think he's 46.
What do you think he is?
53, maybe.
And then the girl that was there?
She was young. She was
Well, she was a stripper too, right?
Yeah, she was. And it's so funny because sometimes I feel people overshare or they like, oh no, strippers aren't like that. They don't actually sleep with like all their customers and they're really, you know, and it's like, okay. I was like, that's great. I don't even care. I don't judge. I'm like the least judgmental human. And yeah, it was just like,
So how did you exit that situation?
he's like, so is this awkward? And I was like, yeah, this is really awkward
Yeah.
actually. And he's like, so do you want to go? And I was like, yeah. And then he was just trying to talk about politics again. And I was like, we don't talk about politics the first conversation. And quite honestly, this situation isn't a good situation to talk politics, right? And so they were like both looking for the wallet for money. And then it's just, I feel she definitely takes advantage of that situation, which, I mean, you put yourself in those situations, so you open yourself up to that. But I can't do that. Maybe old me, like when I didn't care about actually karma catching up, but I don't like karma catching up at this point. And I have genuine feelings for people and I don't want to hurt them, right? And there's a lot of people on that side that don't. So that's why I think the communication thing is like, hey, if we're okay with strictly, is it platonic? Is that right?
Yeah.
Nothing involved, fine. But someone always, I feel, gets somewhat more attached, right? Not even intentionally, but when you spend time with someone, you know, but for me, I feel like my feelings are off. And that's why I love this site and I love dating this, because they're like, oh yeah, you know, and they're always like, well, I want someone that cares about me. And I was like, I think you just want really good intimacy, which I'm great at. I'm great at it. Don't get me wrong. I will toot my own horn all day. I'm really good at sex. I love sex. If that's what it is, fine. But don't sugarcoat it, sugar daddies, and say that you want intimacy or you want, you know, loving. We all know we don't want that. That's why we're here. We just want friendship and great times together, and let's just own it.
Well, I was always looking for my person, but I got really good at protecting my heart.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely knew that the chances of me finding my person in my 50s was probably not great. And so in the meantime, I definitely didn't want to be celibate. I wanted to have these experiences. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to have intimate connections. And so I knew to protect my heart, especially if there were red flags involved, and especially if the other person wasn't looking for what I was looking for.
Okay, so my question to you, and I feel like we're kind of similar as far as the way we interact with people. Once you started dating, were you able to kind of recognize certain people's personalities pretty consistently?
Yes,
and
yes.
like be like, okay, you can tell me this, but your mannerisms are the same as this mannerism, you know, this other gentleman that had the same mannerisms, and I kind of know what to expect. And so you protect yourself. And I feel though, it's not the fact that you want to, but you know what you're doing when you're getting into it, sadly. You know, like maybe there were these men that you absolutely wanted a future with, but you knew that's not what they wanted. So sadly you had, like, I feel like I'm not necessarily guarded, but I am just realistic about, you know, my interactions with them. It's like, I'm going to enjoy every second I have with you.
Yeah, definitely.
But as soon as we're done, like, I got to pretend like it really didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know? So,
well, there was one guy that I dated briefly, and it wasn't sugar dating. It was actually somebody that reached out to me on Facebook. And I was like, do I know you? And he was like, yeah, well, kind of. We were in a play together when we were younger. You were in middle school. I was in elementary, and I had a huge crush on you because you were nice to me. And I was like,
What? Have I heard this one?
I don't know. I'm like, I don't remember you at all. And he's like, well, I played this part and then you played this part.
God.
And I was like, oh, so you were the little kid in the play. Yeah. So I guess I'm like 5 years older than him, but he just remembered that he had a crush on me and that I was nice to him. So he reached out to me on Facebook. He was from Texas, but when he would visit Arizona, we would hang out some. I'm telling you, that man rocked my world sexually.
good sex is so hard to find.
I have never felt more connected. It wasn't like raunchy sex. It was like passionate.
Look me in the eyes.
Connected. This is the ultimate intimate experience that I've ever had in my life. But I knew to protect my heart very quickly after knowing him for a short time, just because he's a very non-committal man. Now, when he would come to Arizona, he
was
would
100% committed.
Oh yeah,
And that makes you feel good too, right?
was-
Like, you were number one pick.
yeah. Well, no, I'm sure I was never number one, and
You
I was
were.
probably never his only. But man, alive, that was.
When was this?
It was not that long after my divorce, my last divorce.
Before you got on Seeking, though?
Yeah, before I got
Okay.
on Seeking. But we're still friends on Facebook. We still occasionally message each other. But the last time I was back in my hometown, he reached out to me and he's like, I happen to be here too. And I said, Oh, that's too bad because I'm committed now.
Yeah,
I found my person, so I'm not wasting time on you anymore, sir.
I think that's a hard part too, because when you are in these situations, you have to also shut your emotions off sexually, right?
Yeah.
Because
that guy could have fallen for him so hard.
Right. And that's the thing is, I think that's where I kind of struggle right now, because I feel I can't really get attached now with somebody else because I'm so used to this lifestyle. And I was like, maybe I just ruined it for myself forever. Like, I don't know if I can have a good relationship because I'm just like, see you later, bro. You know, like, I just can't.
Do you think you let yourself get jaded?
I think I did. Yeah.
Has someone broken your heart then?
They did, but I healed, but I think I healed way too hard. So when someone tells me that, like, I'm on the other end of the spectrum where they're like, hey, you know, this, like, because I'm really good at setting boundaries, except when it comes to like these interactions, because I was like, all right, the red flags you don't have to like necessarily not allow, because you know that there's going to be some red flags in these situations just because we're opening our horizons to everything, right? But in personal, I'm just one little red flag and I'm like, I'm gone. See you later. I loved our interaction. I loved our time together, but obviously we're just not meant to be, right? And so I think it's just so easy for me to just like be okay by myself and then enjoy my other interactions with other people and really enjoy my time dating, which I love. Like, look what it's open, you know, look at this. We're sitting here. And had I not been on the site, I would have never, ever had this opportunity.
I know. And I got to thank Alejandra for letting me be in that position, because we were exclusive for a while. We were open, then we were exclusive, and then we went back open. And she's really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. And I told her the reason is because I just feel like I'm not meeting people and networking like I used to. And yet here we are. You know, again, like I said last week in the episode, I didn't grow up that way with that mentality.
Right.
I'm really enjoying that at this point. It's meeting different kinds of people, different types of personalities, networking, all kinds of different types of networking. You just never know where you're going to go.
Well, but then you feel comfortable having that communication with her, right? Where like you could never experience that probably with like someone.
Like I even showed you that when we were having drinks, I said, yeah, here's our text exchange. I told her, hey, I'm seeing so-and-so tonight, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm going to see a blank. And I was like, okay, well, have fun. We'll chat later.
Well, and I commit. Since we committed, I'm like, I'm going to commit. I'll be there. I'll see you later. You know, I feel like that's half of the relationship is, you said, showing up and not getting blown off. So when you can actually have a genuine interaction and a meeting, you don't kind of really, you want to keep it around. Like, I really want to have more experiences with that person. And that's the whole point, I think, of the website and those opportunities is when you do find the good ones, they are great. These are amazing.
Dakota, I don't know that much about you. What do you do for work?
I'm a sexologist.
What is that?
I know. I've had this conversation.
I actually have it like, and actually I brought the actual description.
And where do you get a degree in sexology?
I asked her that too.
So life coaching, you know, I feel like everybody is opinionated now on everything. And I've had several years of holistic sexual experiences. So I was actually talking to a friend and he was like, hey, this is what's going on. And it gets very interesting very quickly. But I love how easy people can open up to me and talk, and then our discussion is in my brain and then it's gone until we talk about it again, right? So he was like, you should start getting paid for this. And so that's kind of where it started. And so it's just an opportunity for people to discuss their concerns, frustrations. Maybe they're a little curious about some things and they kind of want to know if it's normal or, you know, my thoughts and opinions. And sometimes people just need someone to vent to without any type of interaction. So I'm like, do you want me to talk to you about this? Do you want any feedback? And they're like, no, I just need to get it off my chest, right? So it's just being completely vulnerable. And I think we're living in such a wild world right now as far as like our sexual preferences, and everyone's all over the place because porn has become very common.
It's very easily accessible.
Yeah. And it gets like the old porn was like the pet house and the Playboys, you know, you'd find in your parents' bedroom or something, or like the old VHS, right? And the naughty ones, or I would see my mom's Polaroids from like her trips and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm scarred for life now. But now it's just, hey, I want to try this new, you know, and yeah, like you said, you've had threesomes and it's like, it's not that exciting anymore. Because everyone's so like exploring so much more now, I feel.
Okay, so as a sexologist, do you practice in an office? Is this online interaction?
Mainly just over the phone, because I've learned that during Zoom, I feel like a lot of them get aroused. It's wild because they're like, do you practice? And I was like, I couldn't even imagine, like, I haven't gone in person yet because I feel like my energy, like yours, like I could feel your energy, like, and yours too. We get along really well. But when that becomes sexual, you can't shut it off for a man because they're so primal. And I like respect you for that because that's what you guys do. But I won't do in person yet. So I really just try to go over the phone because I try to Zoom and I feel like then it starts turning a little bit unprofessional. And I've learned right now it's just not a good.
Well, when I first met her, I was like, okay, kind of curious like you were, right, Lily? And I'm like, now, is any of this hands-on?
I get that asked so many times.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to because she said it's only on the phone.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Now, what does one charge for sexology services?
I feel like how you value yourself is how others are going to value you. So $250 to $300 an hour.
There you go.
Which is basically pretty standard, I think, because I remember I was in Madison and it was a sugar baby I had a 2.5-year relationship with. We went to pre-marriage counseling, and that's about what it was.
How do you recruit clients?
So I just started having a little bit more confidence in myself that I like, because I've had like my friends say this and then I'm like, but am I good? And then, so I just started, I have a website and I can send it over to you guys. I'm still critiquing it because I'm so a freak about having everything perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want it to give off the wrong vibe. So I have a website and then I do have a Calendly so you can actually go in and schedule your appointments. But I've been kind of hesitant about sharing. And I don't know why, because I'm very confident. But for some reason, this is one that I'm still kind of gun shy about. And it's kind of just been like word of mouth, right? And I also feel most people are vulnerable when they've been drinking. And so my hours are kind of available at all times because if I'm not doing anything and someone really needs to talk, and I think it's really good for people's mental health, they can call me at like midnight, you know, maybe a little in a drunken stupor. We sign an NDA. But I do have a website. I'm still working on it. But as of right now, it's kind of just word of mouth. Like, hey, did you have a great experience? Do you need help? Do you need someone to talk to that you can be not judged for anything? And that's where we're at.
What else keeps you busy?
I'm also going to school for construction management and technology, which is...
You believe that?
That's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's what our girl Amy is getting her degree in.
Yeah.
She's graduating in May, right?
Yeah. She's graduating in 2025,
getting married in a couple of days. And she's graduating in May.
Is that the October wedding?
Yeah. She's getting married on Halloween, which I know by the time you hear this, Halloween has passed. But yeah, she's getting married on Halloween. And we're going to the wedding.
I know, that's going to be exciting. So do you get to dress up in costumes? Is that part of it?
No, she actually asked us to wear purple. And I'm not really sure the significance. Do you know?
I don't know.
Something about purple is a family favorite color. And so she wants us to wear purple. Yeah, I think that's
one of her favorite colors, yeah.
And actually, we're not attending the wedding part. I think, are they doing that Justice of the Peace?
I think so.
But she's having a big like reception dinner.
Yeah. Party, celebration.
Yeah. So we're going to that part. But yeah, it should be interesting.
So like, are you going to wear a purple dress or just like an accent color?
I think I'm going to wear a purple dress.
Purple's like not my favorite color, you know?
I only had 3 purple things I could wear.
Right.
And one's the dress that I always wear to the Suns games.
That makes sense.
And one's more like it's kind of a sparkly cocktail dress, so I'm not sure if that's appropriate. That's the one Alejandra tells me she wants me to wear. And then the other one's more of a conservative type of lacy.
I like the sparkly one. I already like that one. You're celebrating, you know?
I'll show them to you.
The ironic thing about this is Amy is the one who helped me start this whole podcast. She's the one that introduced me into ethical non-monogamy. She's the one that got me kind of acclimated to the whole process, and then I started liking it. And she's the one that said she would never get married.
Yeah.
And here she is getting married.
I'm curious. Have you talked to her about, is it going to be an open marriage?
So here's the thing. She has a seeking profile, and it's active, and she says she's meeting people.
So he knows about it?
Oh, absolutely. He used to be a sugar baby. Yeah.
He used to be a sugar baby.
Yeah, he's a pretty handsome Latino boy. He's a few years younger than her. They didn't meet on Seeking. They met at work, but they're very synergistic as far as their thoughts and views of the lifestyle.
Have you noticed that too, that once you kind of get into this lifestyle, like nothing surprises you anymore. Like you said, you've had the wildest things happen to you. So you're like, oh, that's nothing, where most people are like, wait, what? This isn't normal. And I was like, sure it is. It's just another day in the life of us, right? But I think it's so good to have those experiences because they're like, let's do this again or let's not do this again, right?
Yeah.
And I think it just helps you prepare, actually. So that's amazing that they can have that lifestyle and be comfortable with
the craziest experience I've had, and I say craziest, there's probably 10 that could qualify. Absolutely one of the top craziest experiences I've ever had. I'm still friends with her to this day, and it happened back in 2018.
Wait, were you telling me about this one?
Yes. About the girl who got arrested for kidnapping.
Yeah, in Canada?
Yeah.
And you had to take the dog?
Yes. And absolutely, she's helped me through some hard times. She used to kind of be my therapist during my breakup. I'd talk to her for hours every day, and she got me through some things. And she's highly responsible for this podcast even happening is because I learned so much during the breakup that I became a newer, better version of myself. And I have to credit her for helping me through that process, even though I thought I would never see her again after she got arrested and all this stuff. And nothing ever went anywhere with the relationship. We had like this bond and this solid friendship that formed out of it.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I look back on it and I just kind of shake my head going, that was so fucking crazy.
Right.
What we went through in 2018. Yet here we are still good friends today.
That's amazing. But that's why we like the site because you never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
I think I've only had one person who, when I decided not to progress the relationship, tell me, okay, then I need you to lose my phone number. I need you to delete any photos that you have of me.
I remember that, yeah.
And we will never speak again.
Which majority of the time I think females do that. Like, I don't need it. There's no reason for us to hold on to that.
But it was just weird because most of my guys that I've dated for any significant amount of time will reach out to me from time to time, say, how are you doing? I was thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. Most of them I remained friends with.
Right.
But this guy was black and white. He was a former attorney turned cowboy rancher. And he was in his 70s. So he literally just wanted to find someone to be his companion for the rest of his life. And it wasn't me. The connection was not there. I couldn't commit to that because he wanted me to kind of live his life, not 24/7, but a significant amount of the time. And I felt like I would be giving up my friends, my family to cater to him.
Your lifestyle.
And I wasn't okay with it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, I understand. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for not
leading me on.
But I need you to delete all photos and never talk to me again, never communicate with me again.
Which really he has no control over that.
No.
He's just asking you to do that.
That's very true.
All right. Well, they are wrapping us up.
I know.
It always goes so
It
fast.
does. It's been a great
But
conversation.
we're going to see more of Dakota. We've got plans for Dakota. She's going to be meeting a lot of people here at Sugarpalooza 5.
Then we say cinco when it was Shakira. Cinco.
Now it's Shakira Sace.
Yeah.
It'd be Sugarpalooza 6 would be the Shakira experience. Yeah, we'll have more information on our Patreon on that and our website. So stay tuned for details. But Dakota, thanks for coming in. Fabulous. You told me you were going to rock it. You rocked it.
Thank you very much.
Right, Lily?
Yes, and
She's
thank you
great.
for not judging me at the beginning when we were at lunch, and I just sat down and started scarfing out of Marcus's plate because I was so
loved how
hungry.
comfortable you guys were. You're like, he was like, did you want some? I was like, no, like I was being polite. She's like, just give me some right now. And I loved it. She was like,
Grabbed
I'm
a spoon
starving.
and dug in.
Lily
I
was
love that
running late, so she
relationship.
just dived into my plate and took it over.
I was
which
so
fine.
hungry.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to even be here because I feel like you don't do this with everyone. And so maybe you do, but I am very grateful
we
for
don't.
this experience. And I really look forward to enjoying some more time with you guys.
Great. Well, we're definitely going to have you on. So look for more of Dakota and look for more fun things on our Patreon. Get on there. Oh, and I want to mention too, you being a sexologist, you claim that you're pretty damn good. Men and women, if you want to be an expert and you want women to go, wow, what the hell? We are still affiliates with OMGS. I haven't mentioned them in a while, but it is a fantastic program. Just go to our website Click on the link. It's on the top of my website. It's on the bottom of my website. The reason it is because I can't recommend it enough. Even if we weren't an affiliate, I would be recommending this site, and it's on how to pleasure a woman properly. There are techniques you just don't realize things that you're doing wrong, and you don't realize the amount of women that prefer a technique, and that's what's really cool. They interview, like, let's say 100 women, and 67% will say, this technique really does it for me. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, so they give you other techniques that you can try and mix in there.
There's so many.
And it's interactive. We've talked about this in the past episodes. It's well done, but there's a vagina that actually pops up on your phone, and it's interactive, and you can move your fingers around it, and they will tell you if you're doing it too fast, too slow, just right. And so there's a lot of feedback there, and it's a great learning tool, and it's fun. You know, just seeing the interviews of the women and having them tell you things that turn them on, I tell you, it's a great learning program. Once you buy, and that's the nice thing, it's a one-time cost. Once you buy the subscription or the program, you can access it any time, and they keep adding more and more
Content.
modules to it. So
Thank you for whoever did that, by the way.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've really reaped the rewards of OMGS.
Yeah, and everybody
Trucker
does. So
refreshes his memory on there sometimes.
matter of fact, I may be looking at it on the way home or something, but or put it in play or whatever. But I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times, but then I forget. So it's always great to go refresh your memory. It's a one-time cost, and it's very affordable. So
And they add new stuff.
yeah.
That's what Trucker said.
Yeah. So go to our website, click on the link, because that way we get credit for sending you there, and it helps us a little bit. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Next
No.
week, the party, right?
Party.
Whoop, whoop.
All
Time to
right.
party.
Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.